now we're in the after show, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you with our mugs.
Wonderful. Yes, with our mugs. Two-sided mugs.
Yes. It's such a good mug too, because I microwaved it and the handle didn't get hot. And that's my barometer for
I have loved this. This is a Louisville company. It's called Hadley's, Hadley.
Excellent.
They make an entire line of dishes. They're like 1 billion years old, and
That's old.
I have been using their dishware for 50 years.
Unbelievable. Well, I love it.
All of my kids have Hadley dishware.
See, viewers, you can see on the bottom, you can see the mark.
Yes, exactly.
I haven't had enough yet for them to really see, but okay, there was a question. We were talking one day a few months ago, and you said, there's a question no one has ever asked me on a show. Bob, have you really never put $1 of your own money into a business?
No.
Gasp. Tell me everything.
Well, I go through in the book, and I know you're familiar with it, but my first business crashed and burned. And I was extremely fortunate in basically being picked up and dusted off by an extremely wealthy man. Matter of fact, he's now 90. He and I had lunch 2 weeks ago in Panama City. And he is still just as wide open as he was 50 years ago. We've remained very, very close friends. And he told me he actually bought George Washington's nephew's farm in the northern Tennessee, pretty close to the Kentucky border, about 20 years ago. And it's a little over 2,000 acres. Mm. And he said, do you remember when I bought the farm? And I said, yes. And he said, do you remember what I paid? And I said, of course I do. You paid $500 an acre. He said, I had it appraised a few months ago. It's now worth $10,000 an acre.
Goodbye.
So he's still doing deals. But so I took over his businesses, ran them, and he said, now you need to go out and do this on your own, because he had retired. And so a number of banks in the Southeast, because we had some very large companies, number of banks in the Southeast had become familiar with what I was doing. And I'd gotten really good publicity out of it. So banks started contacting me when they had a loan either in default or getting ready to go into default, that they knew they were going to lose a lot of money on. Mm-hmm. Okay. The owner had either allowed the collateral to deteriorate or had sold some of it off or whatever. And so I would get a call to see if in the bank's attempt to keep from losing that money, if I could come in and fix the business up. And I suddenly realized my first time, I said, yes, I will do that under some conditions. One, I'm not putting any money in it. You've got a business that's broke. But if you will allow me to assume that loan and work with me through the turnaround, then yes, I think I can keep you from losing any money. If we agree right now what the business is worth. Let's say that the business owed $5 million. And most of them were very straight with me. They would say, if we sold it today, we'd only get 3 million.
Mm.
I'd say, okay, let's do this. Let's split the difference. At the point that I have it turned around, A, and B, can refinance it and take it off your books, you will transfer it to me for 4 million.
Hmm.
So, first of all, they were able to work out from under it with the regulators and not get punished because I would get it back on profit, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, as time passed, they could then start chipping away at that million through their loan loss reserves, because typically I will hold a business 5 to 7 years before I'm interested in selling it, because I want it performing well. I want a good track record. So because of that, I suddenly realized as a young man that I could take control of tens of millions of dollars of assets without any down payment. So I didn't need investors or anyone to help me. And you know, it made sense to the bankers, who in their right mind would take a failed business and pour more money into it. But of course, I always looked at it from the standpoint of, can we make this company profitable?
Mm-hmm.
And where my confidence came in from that, as I go into in the book, was my one-on-one meeting with every single employee. And I've taken over companies with several hundred employees, but I never signed those papers until I had spoken with each and every one of them one-on-one. Because that's where my strength comes, is from the team.
Yeah. Well, I think it makes sense your strength comes, I mean, knowing you, I mean, you are so people oriented, and just talking to you, one gets a sense that, like, whenever you and I talk, I'm always like, I'm important and Bob values me. And I always feel that when I talk to you. And I imagine everyone must feel that way when they talk to you, that you value them.
I honestly do value them, because when I looked back in retrospect to my first business, the fact of the matter was I was very dishonest with my team. I didn't tell them the truth. I didn't tell them we were in trouble. I was afraid they'd leave. So I hyped, oh, everything's going to be okay. And because of that, I lost the best potential help that I actually had. And after the fact, I came to realize that I shouldered the entire load. I sunk the ship, and I went down with the ship, but I also realized all of them went down with me. And that's a disservice, a very big disservice. And therefore, you know, I've had so many people over the years say, you're just so open. Well, guess what? I paid a huge price as a 23-year-old for not being open. By being open, I see that because I do recognize that people, my team, my customers, my vendors, are the ones that turned around these companies. Because I went and told them the truth, number one. Number two, our team developed a profit plan that was realistic, that everyone could believe, the bankers could believe, our customers. We didn't hide from customers and say we were in trouble. If you go through all of those turnarounds, each and every time, our customers played a big role. In some of the big international engineering companies I bought, they played a monster role where the previous owner had lied and hid that information. I once took a 3-day trip. I told the bank the company was so messed up, was so horribly deep in debt, and had contracts all over the world. And I told the bank, I need 30 days before I sign the paper to see if in fact I can pull this together. Day one, I got the team together, several hundred people, and said, we've got 24 hours to come up with a plan, number one.
Whoa.
And it's going to be as good as we can make it now. Number two, I picked up the phone and called a giant oil and gas company in Italy. I called Framatome, the nuclear group in France, and I contacted Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia. And I said, I am getting ready to buy this company. I know they have large contracts with you, but I need to come see you. I took a 3-day trip. I hit Milan, Italy, Paris, and Saudi Arabia in 3 days, and I came back with over $2.5 million having been wired into the bank account of a broke company because we had a plan, we asked for help, and they gave it. I went to all of the payables. There were over $900,000 of past due payables in that company. I went and saw each of those payables, took my plan with me, took a list of bankers that I had worked with in other turnarounds, and I said, here's what I need from you. You could push us into bankruptcy. You'll get 5 cents on the dollar. But if you'll stick with us, we're going to use cash flow to cover operations, and every dime above that, I promise you, we will spread pro rata across these payables. And within less than 12 months, everyone was totally current, and they were part of the success, and they loved that. Okay. So by pulling our customers and our vendors and our team together, we created an absolute wonderful company that all of us, everyone involved, was extremely proud of for years until we sold it. So you don't need to shoulder all of that by yourself.
It sounds like so much fun.
It is fun. It's fun. And you know, when you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything.
Isn't that true? That's fact.
And
yes.
I went through in my first business, I had one set of books over here and another one over here. And what did I tell Susan yesterday? Was it this or was it? And you can't live that way.
No, it's so much easier to not
survive that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much easier to just be honest. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, are you going to come back on the show again?
As long as I have the magic mug, I'm coming back.
Well, don't break it.
I'm not.
All right. I'd like to have you come back.
And I hope that you take this holiday and get better and rush out this afternoon and find you Dr. Jack from Lynchburg, Tennessee, and come Monday morning, you'll be totally well.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I don't do well when I have colds.
I don't either. No.
Oh my goodness. Not. I get feisty because I'm so frustrated that I can't do all the things I'm used to doing. Ugh. The worst.
The same. Yes.
Well, I'm glad to see you're up and around, feeling great.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you and talking to you again soon.
Can't wait.
All right. Take care, Bob. Thanks for being on the show.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.